Miami had their home opener on Sunday versus the New York Knicks, and the offense is explosive, the pace is fast, the team is deep, and the vibes are good on today's Locked On Heat.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app, thanks so much for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio, here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day, and we are coming to you within the hour after the Heat's win over the Knicks here at Kaseya Center. We found a room to record in. We are recording live after the game. Have a ton to get to in this one, David. But what an exciting win. Heat beat the Knicks 2-1 on the season right now. They are playing fast. They are playing fun. All the things that Erik Spoelstra talked about wanting to do. And we hear this across the league all the time across media days and preseason. We want to play fast. We want to play 3 games into the season. They are playing faster. And not to do the whole like Boston Celtics thing, but if we were to go by quarters that they've won, they have won a lot of these quarters, right? As disappointing as those last basically 3 minutes of that Orlando Magic game was, this team is playing really good, fun, entertaining basketball, high-level basketball. And what really stands out to me is despite all of the new changes to this roster, no more Jimmy Butler, beginning a new era, Erik Spoelstra scrapping the old playbook, introducing a new one. And as rough of it as it looked in the preseason, it is a pleasant surprise how much it feels like this team knows exactly what they're about.
Absolutely.
They know how they want to play. They know their rotations. There's a very strong identity to this team, and it's something you and I talked all last year about. What is this team? Who are they? Who do they want to be? And I don't think they ever got a clear answer to that last season. 3 games into this season, at least for now, that answer is very clear.
I think the players all kind of agree that there is a system in place, an idea that they're all kind of bonded with, and they're all playing with this kind of just general template as far as their style of play. And it's a selflessness. It's a commitment to being faster, being more energetic, being more decisive on offense. And their defense has been so good as well, and just the right spots, finding ways to negate a shot here, step up, force a turnover. So many different ways as the team is just working together in a way that maybe they did not in all of last season. And I love the style that they've embraced so completely. And we know that they were talking about, to your point, it's easy to discuss it. It's a completely different matter to just actually implement it and to lean into it so completely and to have it function. This team is talented. It works. The team is good enough to implement it, and they're making it look almost easy. And I love the effort that we're seeing as well, though, because on the defensive end in particular, they really are engaged. They're making a concerted effort, despite their lack of size, to be active rebounding and pushing the pace, and all that kind of ties together. Their defense ignites their offense, just as it has in the past, but now it's a much more fast-paced offense. They're just letting it fly. They're looking for the best shot available. There's constant movement on offense. It's a fantastic system. So much fun to watch, and it's led to a great win over the New York Knicks early on, despite the Knicks crowd here in Kaseya Center. They got to go home into the dark night. A little disappointed, but that's okay. That's what we like here at Locked On Heat.
That's true. Didn't seem like a very loud Knicks bunch, other than the 2 Knicks fans that were sitting directly behind us on media row. But first half, they were a little loud. By the fourth quarter, I didn't hear them as much.
No, they left early. Funny that. I thought only Heat fans left early, but no, the Knicks fans tend to leave early too.
The Heat outscored the Knicks 31-10 on fast break points, and we're going to talk a ton about fast break points, I guess, for the rest of the season, if that's the plan, at least for now. The other thing that I think is getting overlooked in this Heat offense is how much damage they do in the paint.
Yes,
they are. I think people tend to conflate high-tempo offense with modern offense with three-point shooting, a lot of three-point shooting. You're going to get up and down the court. You're going to get to the three. Basically, you're going to run from three-point line to three-point line to three-point line. That's not this Heat team. They are looking, when they get out and run, they're looking to get to the rim first.
Yeah.
And they entered the game number 1 in pace. I think maybe, I haven't looked this up, I would guess they might be at the top of the league right now in dunks. outside of the Spurs because Victor Wembanyama is 8 feet tall. But it's
I don't know about that.
They're between Wiggins, Bam, Jaime.
Yeah.
They're definitely higher than they were last year, where they didn't
For
get a lot
sure.
of dunks. And that's also like a thing with this offense. Oh, they are looking to get to the rim. They're looking for the easiest shot possible. They're getting a lot of dunks. Now, there's still a lot of mid-range attempts, maybe more than I would like. Not enough three-point attempps. I would like to see more, even though they did get 37 up today.
No, yeah.
The Knicks took 54 threes in this game. That was crazy.
Unbelievable.
But they're also getting to the line a lot.
Yes.
They were 26 of 31 from the free throw line, and that was basically Norm Powell going 12 for 12 and Bam going 8 for 8.
It's the personnel kind of able to do exactly what you were just talking about, attacking the paint. That's their first action in terms of what they're trying to do offensively. They get the rebound or even off of an inbound, and they're going right towards the paint and seeing if they can get a shot at the rim. And you've got personnel like Norm, who's so good, and he's got a nice floater game. He's got a great layup package. It's amazing to see him kind of just dive towards the basket to try to create an opportunity. Andrew Wiggins, another guy who stepped up in that regard, and Jaime Jaquez, who I'm sure we'll talk about throughout the show and throughout the rest of the season, because he just looks like he's so much more energetic and playing with such a high pace, but he's also looks healthy. It looks like I would say even better than what we saw from him as a rookie, because this style absolutely lends itself towards his abilities. It maximizes what he does as a player. And Coach Spoelstra spoke about that as well. He was asked about what Jaime is able to do with his offense, and he just looks much more fluid in the de facto point guard position, where he's just pushing pace, bringing the ball up, and he's being much more decisive, something that we've talked a lot about this young season. It's just incredible to see this team play with a pace on offense that I don't think we've ever seen.
Yeah,
maybe not since the Big Three era.
And even the Big Three era was a little bit more selective, because you forget LeBron wanted to get the ball in the post. He was the point forward of that team. Like, he was slowing things down in the half court quite a bit. This team is also playing quickly in half court sets. It's not all about leaking out off of defensive rebounds, getting steals. It's obviously about those things too. But even in the half court, it's hey, just try to find an advantage and then attack it and then take that shot. They're averaging in the half court in this game. Well, before I get to the half court stuff, in transition, they're scoring 1.5 points per transition opportunity. So it's not only they're doing it a lot, they're doing it really well. That 1.5 is a very, very strong number. The Knicks in this game scored 1 point per transition opportunity. They didn't do it as much either as Miami. So it's not just volume, it's quality. And that, again, it goes back to the personnel. It's one thing to just say you want to run, but what if you're not a good running team? What if you're not good at it?
Right.
This team wants to run because they're good at it. And it's the thing that you and I kept talking about going into the season is this team is young. It is athletic. There's a lot of ball handlers. They don't have that number one guy who you could say, hey, here's the ball.
Yeah. Let him go to
queen
work.
of the chessboard, figure out. They don't have anybody that is that kind of advantage creator on his own. But the advantage creation that's happening right now is the transition.
Yeah.
And catching these teams by surprise. Memphis looked on Friday night. We haven't talked since that game, but they looked like completely stupefied by Miami's offense. And the Knicks didn't look quite as stupefied.
Right.
But they were definitely scrambling.
I think a lot of that had to do with New York's physicality. Like, I think that's just the way they play. You had a number of players who were kind of very much
the foul trouble for them was
well, I mean, it happens when you're trying to limit things and you're trying to put a hand here in order to kind of slow that first initial trigger and things of that sort. So it makes a lot of sense that there would be foul trouble. Yeah, absolutely. But
Towns had 5 fouls. OG had 4 fouls. Brunson had 3. Bridges had 3. Josh Hart had 1.
Really?
Yabusele had 3. Like, all these guys, like Ariel Hook Porter, who played 10 minutes, had 2 fouls in 10 minutes. Like, all these guys just they couldn't keep the heat in front of them, and that's where the fouls come in.
Did Miami hire Mike D'Antoni at some point? I mean, it's kind of seems that offense, that style at least, is what they're implementing.
I think an interesting conversation about Erik Spoelstra, and I guess it's another one we'll be having throughout the year while this lasts, is I don't think that he ever really wanted to play slow. Right. But I don't think Spo wants to play any way. He wants to play the way that suits his roster. And in the past, the roster was suited for that. But even when Kyle Lowry and Kevin Love were around, he would talk about all the time, hey, they're able to get us into instant offense. They're with the hit-ahead passes, with the quick reads. Like, there's something about Erik Spoelstra invented pace and space. And people tend to forget that because it was 10 years ago. But this, I think, is more fun for everybody.
Yeah.
There was a number of players who had said the vibes are good.
Absolutely.
And that is another huge takeaway.
Said that
Erik
vibes
Spoelstra said the vibes. I didn't even know Erik Spoelstra knew what vibes were.
Yeah, he's never really spoken about it before. And look, there's a lot that you can read into a statement like that, but I think he's kind of just I think that players are happy. I mean, you ask players what they'd like to, the style they'd like to play. It's this. It's an egalitarian offense, making sure everybody touches the ball, looking for good opportunities to score, etc. This is what kind of feeds a player's ego. You know, they enjoy playing this sort of system. They're really leaning into it, and there is a sense of camaraderie and focus on succeeding as a team rather than any one individual standing out about that. So
and you're not just making that like that's not you projecting. The players are literally talking this way, and that is like, we don't have to do this whole thing. You understand the subtext behind that if you've been following this team for the last 5 years. Like, you understand what that is. Hey, we're all involved in the offense now. We like playing fast. We like playing to all of our strengths now. We don't have to play one specific way, and we know how we're going to play every single night because we're not guessing about who's available or how hard they're trying necessarily. Anyway, we don't have to do it. I don't want to do it.
We don't have to listen to country music in the locker room. How about that?
It was weird that it wasn't in the locker room after a win. I don't know what changed specifically, but here's the thing I do know. I smell some baked goods.
Oh, it's been a while.
It's coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth between 401ks, savings, and investments. It's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. And that's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts and to manage my spending. That's the thing that I appreciate about it the most. You spend money, sometimes you don't even know what you're spending it on, and then you look at Monarch, who organizes it in such an easy way so that you can tell exactly what's going on, and you go, oh yeah, that's something I need to stop. And that's what allows you to spend the money wisely and to save up for big purchases or to save up for something that's a major milestone in your life, whatever that might be, whether it's a new child, a new house, or something in between. You never know, and that's what Monarch Money is there for. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKDOWNNBA at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com. Use the code LOCKDOWNNBA for half off your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Basketball season's officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games, unless you're a Knicks fan. Then you can stay home. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team, and that's where Game Time comes in. It's the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I told you about it recently. A friend of mine had to get tickets so they could watch their daughter play at an upcoming game or do one of those performances in between timeouts and stuff like that. And he used the Game Time app. So convenient, so easy, just a few taps. And next thing you know, he's got the tickets and he can get to see the game. And this is a Heat team that you don't want to miss. So if you're looking to go to a game, use the Game Time app to catch this fun, fast-paced offense and see what we're talking about on the show. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. That's Game Time. We'll be right back.
Thank you for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang and be an everydayer by hitting that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite podcast app. It's another Heat win, David, which means it's time for the tastiest segment of Locked On Heat. It is time for Credit Cookies.
I don't even know where to begin with the credit cookie allotment, because this is, and I can't speak to this enough, the fact that the team is playing so well. There are so many different players that I thought stepped up. And it's something we didn't necessarily talk about in the first segment, but you and I had been talking about it beforehand. And I just thought there were little micro moments throughout the game where a player did something differently or stepped up or hit a big shot. And it was enough to kind of turn the tide, to make an impact on the game. And there were so many players that I felt made an impact in that way. But I also recognize that no one player made a bigger impact on tonight's win than Norm Powell. He was absolutely sensational. You brought up the point about him being decisive. I asked him about it when he got to the podium today. And he is, this offense has enabled him to maximize his abilities and in terms of being able to just pick his spots, move with intent, create those shot opportunities. He's letting it fly. I, there was a moment there where I think in any other season you would have seen his shot selection from 3-point range and gone, why is he taking that shot? And this season it's encouraged and he's able to hit it. Like he is a much better shooter than we would remember or maybe even consider, but he was 3 of 5 from the floor tonight for 29 points. Just a sensational performance from him. Able to get to the line, as you said, 12 of 12 from the line. A perfect night at the free throw line. Incredible game from him. He looks so comfortable. He spoke about it after the game, telling us that he's felt comfortable from day one. He knows exactly what to do, and he feels very much at home in this offense, and that's why he's getting 3 cookies on the night.
So he's got 3 cookies. For a reminder of people who might not be familiar with the credit cookies segment, we have 10 cookies to give out. That's a hard number. We don't go over. We don't go less. It's 10 cookies after every win.
Make the rules.
We don't go over. You have 10 cookies. That's what makes it a segment. Okay, we can't just hand out an unlimited amount.
Cookies either.
Also, no half cookies, right? So, 3 cookies to Norm Powell feels about right. It feels like it should be more, but considering how many people have to get the cookies,
that's right.
That's where the segment comes in. So,
no, exactly the point, because there are so many players that I think stepped up, and therefore, it really is much difficult. But you know what? Another player who I feel.
Wait, one last thing on Powell though.
Yes.
It's the 3-point shooting that stands out with him. It's silky smooth. He shoots like butter. He's also got this north-south ability.
Yes.
That is so. It's such a breath of fresh air to this Heat offense. It just has. Even Jimmy Butler would get to the line a lot or get to the basket a lot, but it wasn't this north-south. It was a lot slower. It was a little bit more plodding, back to the basket, old school kind of style. Powell is just. He had a move. He missed the shot, and it was maybe my favorite attempt that he had in the entire game, where it was like almost a Euro step, but he just exploded from like the free throw line.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like this huge running start. It wasn't this great transition opportunity. It was just like free throw line, caught the ball, and then just exploded towards the rim. And I think he got fouled. But there's that north-south ability with him that is just almost like surprising to see based on what we've seen from this Heat offense in the past. So 3 cookies to him. I agree. Who's next?
All right. I've got Bam Adebayo.
How many?
I think this was maybe not his most productive game, and he was struggling from the 3-point line.
1 for 5.
But 1 of 5. He has a hot shooting night against the Memphis Grizzlies on Friday. Sensational 4-4 first quarter. That was not the case today. He actually started off a little bit slowly and was eventually able to find his rhythm. But this was a game for the Bam apologists because I think it was all the little things that he was able to do that really turned the tide. And I think one of the major thing to me was his defense on Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yep.
Like it started off with Kel'el Ware picking him up, and not necessarily a knock on Ware, but he looked outmatched. He did not seem to understand exactly what the nature of Karl-Anthony Towns' game is, the way that he wants to shoot from the perimeter, and Kel'el just wasn't able to make those kind of adjustments. A step too slow and kind of in pick and roll situations where he would leave Cat wide open from the 3-point line. And eventually Spo, to his credit, said, you know what, let's scrap that. And he put Bam directly on Cat, and it worked. It was the right move. It slowed him down completely. I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns was as much of a factor.
He made that Spo made that change within the first 5 minutes of the game. He's like, nope, the hook was so fast. Yeah. And that's the kind of urgent coaching that I'm honestly, I don't know that we saw that last year from Spo. And it's the 3rd game of the year, and he was like, nope, we're gonna win this game against the Knicks.
Almost like a playoff game.
It felt like almost a playoff game, and that's kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where this team has such a strong identity, not in just how they want to play fast and all these things, but in their rotation too. When you have a strong rotational identity, you can kind of make those quick changes on the fly, right? Because everything else is settled. So Spo could just be like, you know what? It's really easy for me to kind of just now toggle between Kel'el and Bam, and every time Cat goes to the scores table, Bam's going back in if he's not already in the game. And he basically did that after that first 5-minute stretch for the rest of the game. There was like a 2-minute stretch where Bam was on the bench while Ware was out there with Cat. And then the next break that the Heat got, Bam was back out there to match up against Cat. Cat stunk in this game. And a lot of that was Bam. A lot of that was just him not having a good game, as Cat can do sometimes. But Bam, I will disagree with you on this point. I actually thought he was really aggressive. I thought he came out he took Miami's first 3 shots. He had you can look at his field goal attempts and see only 15. He also got to the line 8 times. Went 8 for 8 from the line. Him and Norm Powell combined 20 of 20 from the free throw line. So you have to kind of throw the free throw attempts in there too. I like the level of aggression. It wasn't quite what it was in Memphis, but it was enough. It wasn't. He never tried to take over the game because Norm Powell had it going and Jaime had it going for a stretch. So he wasn't trying to hijack the offense, but I thought it was really aggressive from Bam in this game. So how many cookies did you give him?
I gave him 2. I thought it was
Okay.
about the little things for me from Bam. And look, I might be penalizing him to a certain degree because he tried posting up smaller players. He got his he got his pockets picked, and
Brunson got him one time.
Yeah, wound up turning over the ball a couple times. So there were little moments here where maybe I don't think he was quite as good as he could be. But overall, I just like the little things that he was doing.
He was the only starter with a positive plus minus. Strangely enough,
it's a little
plus
again.
10.
This is what highlights Bam's strengths.
Yes.
It's not 30 plus points. It's doing all the little things to wind up leading to a win, which is a lot easier to do when you have a primary scorer like Norm Powell, and that's why he gets the ball.
His rebounding was so important in this game. Miami lost, quote unquote, lost the rebounding battle, 52-50. Let's call that a wash. They're not even close, if not for Bam. And Bam got credited for 13 rebounds. He created a lot more defensive rebounds.
Yeah,
his box outs were
absolutely
elite in this game. Yeah. We got to quickly do the final couple of
all right. You know what? We talked about Jaime before. He gets 2 credit cookies as well.
Okay.
Just playing point, just really, really solid in initiating offense.
Great.
I also gave 1 to Drew Smith, who I think did a pretty solid job overall, had some nice plays here and there. So he gets 1 for Simone Fontecchio, who I think was really, really good. I think he's just been thriving in his minutes off the bench, and he's got just a little level to him that I don't think we were familiar. A little dirtiness, maybe, or just
a physicality.
Yeah,
and Fontecchio actually spoke about this with a I don't know the outlets, or it's a Italian outlet. I don't know the names, and I apologize, but talked about, hey, I don't want to be that European player who comes over and has like, oh, you're just a soft 3-point shooter. He actively is trying to establish himself as a physical player, and he keeps talking about how he's underrated defensively. I wouldn't go that far. I will say this: he's not
better than advertised,
and not an obvious target the way that maybe he's not
he's
a guy
not getting picked on.
He's not getting picked on. So I've been really impressed. My favorite thing about Fontecchio, every time he hits a 3, I notice it from the home crowd. There's people doing this, and I'm all in. I just love that. Big fan.
And 1 more credit cookie goes to Niko Jovic, who struggled a little bit, but I think he did turn it around. And these are the kind of micro moments that I was talking about. He hits a 3-pointer, then he plays solid defense, and he throws his hands up. We've talked about that a number of times. And he finally gets it seemed like, again, the lid was off the rim for him to be able to knock down that 3-pointer, but it seemed to also energize him and get him engaged in the defensive end. He was a little bit more aggressive, was able to push the ball up, toss a perfect lob to Bam that got the crowd going. Those were the little moments. And I spoke about Kel'el struggling in the first quarter, and although he's not getting a credit cookie, I think there was a stretch there in the second half where he was much more engaged, again, following a 3-pointer, and almost he seemed to recognize, oh yeah, I am a 7-footer that can impact the game. And he played defensive, was very good at pulling down rebounds as well. So a level of physicality that I don't know that we've seen consistently from him.
8 rebounds for Kel'el.
Yeah.
Last thing on Nico, and then we'll get into our next segment here. But there was a minute stretch at the end of the third quarter that I thought kind of turned the game, I think, for Miami. Mm-hmm. He gets the 3-pointer that you talked about. Immediately the next possession for the Knicks, Tyler Kolek has the ball up there. Drew Smith is guarding him. Kolek has his back turned to Nico. Nico's on the right wing covering Josh Hart. Kolek has his back turned to him, kind of looking more towards center court. And Nico just comes up with a random double team. This Heat team defensively does not double, does not trap.
Right.
They're not doing it. They're switching 1 through 4. They're dropping their 5, and that's the defense pretty much every possession.
Yep.
But to see Nico smartly, and I asked him about this in the locker room after the game. Like, did somebody call that for you off the sideline? He's like, no, but like we're not going to double, but sometimes we are, and this is a situation where we're going to double, and it's that exact kind of play where he's able to there's 4 seconds left on the shot clock. He's able to get him by surprise, creates a turnover.
Yeah, Kolek throws it into the crowd.
Yeah, creates a turnover. Kolek freaks out, picks up his dribble, throws it away, and that creates a turnover. Miami gets another possession. And then Nico, I think they score on that possession. And then on the next defensive possession, Nico gets a really big rebound. Yeah. I think it was Gershon Yabusele who was in there, who had a nice night rebounding-wise for the Knicks. Almost came up with an offensive rebound to kind of give them a relief point at the end of that third quarter, but Nico made sure that didn't happen. So a really strong minute there for Nico. And I think that set up Miami for that little run that they had in that fourth quarter that kind of turned this game. So great job on the credit cookies there. Hopefully, we're going to be giving out a whole lot more. But at the risk of looking too far ahead, do the Heat have an issue when Tyler Herro comes back? We'll talk about that next.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Knicks almost waged one tonight, but the Heat were able to stave them off. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Let's get to some questions. Thanks to everybody who sent in questions using the via the subtext link and our Locked On Heat Insider community. You can join that community, become a member of the Cookie Gang by using the link in the show notes. This first question comes from Cody, who writes in, are there or should there be any concerns integrating Tyler Herro to this high-tempo offense? He likes the ball and his hands a lot to do his damage, and I'm curious what you guys think that looks like when he comes back, considering how well or how high the tempo is right now. It's a question that we've gotten. I don't know that we've necessarily talked about it on the show yet.
No.
I think it's a fair concern. Now, to the point of this question, are there or should there be concerns? I don't know that I'm not sensing a concern in that locker room. I think we're getting too far ahead of ourselves with that. Right. But I do understand the concern from fans, and I think it's fair. I think it's fair to wonder what that looks like. Before I answer, where are you on this?
I agree with you. I think players by and large say, well, anybody that can put up points and add something to this team, why wouldn't we want him in there? So they're not worried about it. I know maybe to a certain degree they'll be concerned about, well, he's going to cut into my minutes or cut into my productivity. Those individual concerns, absolutely, they do come up. But in terms of welcoming him back to the team, I don't think there's any conflict there. As far as the offense is concerned, you and I did text during the Memphis game. We both think he's going to flourish in that sense. Yep. He is well suited for this style of offense. Maybe he does tend to over dribble on occasion, but I mean, given how the roster over the last couple of years was set up, and he, especially last season when he had so much responsibility on offense, I think that was the nature of what he was inclined to do. On this team, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to be enabled to kind of push the pace, score, be decisive on offense.
I would like to see him out there with Davion or Drew Smith. Yes. And so that gets into a whole other question about the starting lineup, but we don't have time to get into right now.
Right.
But I would like to see him log a lot of minutes with a point guard out there. That said, I think Tyler Herro showed that he could be a quick trigger decision kind of guy in the first half of last season going into the All-Star break. And then when Jimmy got traded and everything, like they had to kind of refigure the offense midway, and they actually asked him to basically dribble the ball more because as the lead playmaker,
the defense is keyed in on him too.
Yep.
So it's the counter to the counter, as Spo likes to say.
But the reason I think he's going to flourish is he's got a lightning quick release. Mm-hmm. He's like Norm Powell, really quick to get into his shooting motion. And I think he can average 12 3-point attempts per game in this offense. And that would be like highly efficient. I mean, that would be crazy. And we know the kind of shooter that Tyler Herro is. So if he's playing fast and he's getting open looks and he's got that quick trigger. And the other thing about Tyler, nobody else really on this roster can do this. The deep three.
Yeah.
That spaces. Norm Powell will take a couple, but that's not really his game.
Yeah.
Herro can launch from 30.
And for a team that also prides itself on rebounding in order to push the pace,
he's a good rebounder.
He's an excellent rebounder for his position, and that's going to lend itself so much better to this.
Let's go quickly through a couple more of these questions. William writes in, do you think watching this Heat game that it felt like the Heat had another level that they could get to? It felt like they played the Knicks game. Maybe that was out of familiarity. I do think that there was pockets of this game where they did get a little bit slower. We even saw Bam kind of rally the troops during like a brief like huddle, being like, hey, move the ball, push. Like you could read his lips and see. So there was definitely moments where they almost had to remind themselves to push the tempo. But overall, I think they ran the Knicks off the floor.
Absolutely. And look, I think you have to take into consideration the level of physicality that the Knicks typically play with. That's going to take its toll. So maybe you might slow down a little bit, and you have to learn how to compensate for that, knowing that maybe you're not going to go as aggressively as you might want to, even though that was not the case for 48 minutes. It just was little pockets here and there, as you said, knowing you're probably going to get beat up by an OG and Anunoby.
There's also a lot of free throws, and that tends to slow the game down, and that was mostly because the Knicks couldn't keep their hands in their pockets. Right. So Ayad writes in, are we good?
Hell yeah. What kind of question is that? Didn't you watch the game?
He also writes in, is Norm Powell going to have a late leap like Jimmy Butler? Is that what they saw from him? The number of free throws is great, and dunks, really, it's crazy. I think it's interesting to consider Norm Powell like a late leap guy.
Yeah.
He's talked a lot about how he's used in a lot of different roles, but between last year with the Clippers and this year now, he's being a little bit more featured offensively. I don't know if this means that he's going to become a top 30 guy in the NBA. I would guess not. But, yeah, I mean, this is the best basketball Norm Powell has played of his career, whatever that means. He
looks fantastic out there. He is very comfortable and able to do what he does best. And I will dispute the question, though, because I don't think Jimmy was a late bloomer in any way. Like, he was very impactful in Chicago.
That's a good point.
On teams that didn't really have much success.
Took over for Derrick Rose after the injury. Yeah,
maybe he was his best version here with Miami, but that's not to say that what he had done in the previous year. He was always an all-star even prior to joining the Heat.
A. Lamas writes in, Spo finally winning Coach of the Year. His odds are better / worse now. However, he's got stronger odds to win Coach of the Year now than he did before the season. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think again,
the story is writing itself though. If Miami comes out surprising, like with a winning record that nobody really expected here, and you've got a refreshed offense that's fun to watch. I mean, that's the storyline that you need to win.
People are talking about this team in a way that they were not at the start of the season.
Malachi writes in, despite his shooting woes, I really like what Bam is doing with the new offense by going straight to the basket and drawing fouls. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like the team ethos there, and Bam's at the head of it. And I think he's done a really effective job at drawing contact. And he just does look, to your point, more aggressive on offense, even if the shot isn't necessarily falling.
There was a shot that is quote unquote a bad shot that he took in the first half.
The long two.
It was the long two, but the turnaround two against Cat.
Yeah.
I love that. Not all the time, but put his shoulder in him. It was like 3 feet closer than that free throw line jumper that he likes to get usually wide open.
Direct challenge.
It's a direct challenge. It's the physicality. It's a little Pascal Siakam-y, which I really like.
Point, yeah.
Where you kind of just get that shoulder in there and then you kind of hit that spin move right down on that left block. I love that. Again, I don't want to see that every time, but throw a couple in there just to show him who's boss. I like that level of physicality and aggression from Bam a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he is getting to the free throw line a lot more. Last thing here, David. Billy writes in, I understand that we're a long way from being a contender, but I feel like we're closer today with our new offense and core of Wiggins, Bam, Powell, and Herro than we have been since the first year with Kyle Lowry.
That's a great question. That's a great question.
It wasn't even a question. It was a statement.
I guess it was.
His opinion.
Is there a question baked into it, or is he just saying, okay,
well,
we should leave it at that? I mean, Billy, if you want to think that, and other Heat fans, if they want to think that, we applaud that. We encourage it.
Let us know in the YouTube comments. Are you rethinking this team after these first 3 games and they're standing in the Eastern Conference? Would you go so far as to call them a contender? But that'll do it for us today. Let us know what you think in the YouTube comments. Thanks for making us and Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Credit cookies, first one in the books. Perhaps a lot more to come.